Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, I'm Peter Schwarz. I'm Professor for Prevention and Care of Diabetes, and I'm President of the International Diabetes Federation. It's a great honor for me to speak here today on this webinar on behalf of World Diabetes Day, because this year's World Diabetes Day is unique. About myself, as I said, Peter Schwarz. I'm leading the International Diabetes Federation, an umbrella organization of 242 diabetes organizations in the world, the largest NGO, and an NGO which is in every country in the world. And this is a very powerful momentum that we are present in every country worldwide with our member organization. And this is the passion, this is the energy, this is the momentum to be used for improving quality of diabetes care worldwide. World Diabetes Day this year, it was actually yesterday, the 14th of November, and the theme this year is diabetes and well-being. 70% of the people living with diabetes experienced impacts on quality of life. 80% already experience burnout due to diabetes, and 75% of them ask for support, and in most of the cases are not getting it. This has to change. We should not accept this, that well-being and quality of life of people living with diabetes is ignored. We as healthcare professionals often look at diagnosis, pharmacotherapy, management of the disease, and look at the outcome and forget about the needs of people living with diabetes and forget about quality of life. This has to change, and the International Diabetes Federation will put the finger in this to make a change, to support a change, to enhance the capability and the skills of healthcare professionals and diabetes team to ask about well-being, to do in small, little, larger or big steps to do something to improve well-being and quality of life of people living with diabetes. I mentioned that the day yesterday is unique because of several aspects, and the second aspect was WHO, because WHO released yesterday information that there are 830 million people living with diabetes on Earth. This is much higher than we had expected from the International Diabetes Federation. And WHO highlights that over the last 30 years, the number of people living with diabetes have quadrupled. And what do they say? Also that less than 50% of the people living with diabetes take their medication or have access to medication, and that there's a significant increase in the development of complications related to diabetes. We had a very intensive discussion yesterday about this discrepancy of the number from the IDF and the WHO, and looked into the information in India, because I'm currently sitting here in Delhi in India, and the question regarding this data is somehow related: how to diagnose diabetes, which number to include, and this can be discussed in the upcoming weeks. But the important messages: there is a tide of diabetes. There is a significant, continuously increase in number of people living with diabetes. And we have to build a global community of passionate people who are dedicated to do whatever we can do to improve the quality of diabetes care worldwide. And this is where IDF stands for. The current situation is a challenge if you are looking into diabetes. And there are pictures of people living with diabetes. Here, a young lady from India, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as she was 11. And her mother gave her a can of petrol to burn herself because the family cannot afford insulin. Here, a picture of a father with a type 1 boy from Congo. And he told me that he earns his money every day. So he has to decide buying the insulin for the child or the food of the rest of the family. Other pictures, you can imagine where this is in the Near East, in Lebanon and in Gaza. There are many diabetes patients, many children with type 1 diabetes in Gaza. And to many of them, the contact is lost. But we are pretty sure that the colleagues in the region do a passionate work to help them, but the circumstances are a disaster. Other people living with diabetes in Africa who don't have access to insulin orthotherapy, but also the optimistic side. Again, Gaza, with a lot of passionate people to do whatever they can do to help in the region, to help in other disasters worldwide. And this is what the International Diabetes Federation is about. But if we, on such a day, if we talk about diabetes, we also have to understand the shift in understanding the disease. Here's a picture, and you might say this is the increase in prevalence of diabetes in the future. It is not. It is the increase in air pollution in relation to diabetes. And if you stand 5 minutes behind a nice, let's say, a nice German diesel car, and you take a few deep breaths, medium-sized particles out of the diesel engine, you can find 2 weeks later in your insulin producing beta cell, especially for type 2 diabetes. This could be a determinant in the future. So it could be that air pollution becomes a relevant health determinant, a public health determinant, or climate is becoming a determinant for diabetes prevalence. Because today we don't fully understand whether these particles in the beta cell have an effect, but in cell culture it does. It reduces insulin secretion by 30%. So climate may become a future health determinant, but we always say we have to understand pathophysiology. And the development of glucose sensors was a brilliant teaching momentum for us as healthcare professionals because we got in touch with a disease we haven't known before. Because we always looked at too many patients and we did not fully understood the healthy situation. And here you have an example of a young woman, high normal A1C. She's always snacking, and the purple line is glucose, measured 1,440 times a day. There is nothing. This is a person being very insulin sensitive. She needs maybe 1% of her insulin to regulate blood sugar, and there's no fluctuation. In comparison to this, her father, it's truly her father. And look at this, the father has a better A1C, a fully healthy A1C. But you see in the morning, in the evening, good glucose curve. And then you see some fluctuations, also going above 7.8 millimole. And the difference to the daughter is the father is very insulin resistant. He needs about 80% of the insulin the pancreas can produce. And so if he is eating something, then some fluctuations are starting because the beta cell cannot compensate the increase or compensate the glucose as fast as for the daughter. Because if he is at 80% insulin resistant, he only can increase to 100%, and this is not enough. So this is prediabetes. This is someone having a high risk of contracting diabetes in the next 3 to 5 years. And this would be the right moment to do prevention. Unfortunately, we don't find them because we cannot use a sensor for screening. But what does it tell us in the future? If we think about the fluctuation, if we have two people with A1C of 7, one has mild fluctuation, the other one has big fluctuation. The one with the big fluctuation has a high risk for a stroke and a heart attack. The one with a mild fluctuation may not even need an intensive treatment. So this should be the new treatment paradigm in the future, reducing fluctuation of glucose. We also have to understand patients. We have to understand ourselves. And here you see 380,000 patients here on the slide. And what happens if you drink one soft drink per day for 1 year? So 365 times. What it does with your diabetes risk. If you drink water, nothing happens. Orange juice, 40%. Coke, 40%. Diet Coke, Coke Light, Coke Zero, 60%. How can this be? How can the Coke without sugar make more diabetes than the Coke with sugar? And the answer are artificial sweetener, because they are changing the microbiome. It's another aspect of diabetes, the bacteria in our gut. And this change of microbiome, there are 13 to 14 different germs invading the gut, and they produce fatty acids, bond to glucose, and this microbiome, it's in our gut. So we incorporate these substances, this metabolite, into our bloodstream, like the fat from tiramisu. And where is getting this stored? In the liver. But there's also a lot of hope. The hope is digitalization. And I truly believe that smart health and digitalization and digital therapeutics can be disruptive in the way we do diabetes care. Here you see how our drugs lower A1C, how lifestyle is lowering A1C, and how digital tools are lowering A1C, especially young digital tools. What are young digital tools? Smartphone-based apps. Now you might say, how can a smartphone-based app lower A1C? It's impossible. It's a smartphone. The answer is very simple. We are in the pocket of our patient. We never have been so close to our patient than being in the pocket. Every one of us is taking 1,800 decisions a day. 450 are related to our lifestyle. Now imagine that in the right moment, with the right motivational strategy, the right content, impulses are set to influence only 10 out of the 450 decisions. But this over the period of 1 year. So intuitive intervention out of the pocket of the patient, we may translate this into 10 kilogram of weight reduction. And why not modern diabetology should look like this? I think there's nothing to fear. We should foster this. We should initiate this. We should use this to reach a patient clientele which we otherwise would not reach with other matters. And some examples here, it's a licensed and reimbursed app which has done RCT trials to show the effect in Germany, doing diabetes education, mainly nutrition related. Another one using AI. You make a photo of your food and it's getting qualified and quantified, and they are very good in this, even if you use culturally diverse food items. And this information is used not to blame the patient for what he is eating, but to use the information to help him to improve the next meal. And we studied this for 6 months. In comparing the first week of meals and the last week of meals, there are minus 560 kilocalories, so intuitive change of nutrition behavior. There are other applications using the sensor and using the curve of the shape of the sensor curve to target nutritional intervention. And here an example from Sweden, using the sensor and comparing all data of the patient with a swarm of 1,000 patients worldwide using the same device. And using deep machine learning and artificial intelligence to project and analyze the curve of the sensor. And then here using the 6 areas of diabetes care, making precise recommendation regarding therapy. For example, saying today at 6:35, you should inject 22 units of long-acting insulin. So here an example how the analysis is done. We might say, oh no, we don't want this. We fear this because we are the healthcare professionals or we are the diabetes teams. But think about Rwanda, 380,000 people living with diabetes and only one endocrinologist. So, and the digital infrastructure, which is very, or is better than, for example, in Europe. And this is a big opportunity using digital tools, digital therapeutics to diagnose, to do prevention, to do diabetes care, supporting diabetes care in regions where we don't have or where there's low access to a healthcare system. So again, modern diabetology could look like this. I'm the president of the International Diabetes Federation, and serving IDF for me means taking all this information I just have presented and translating it into strategies to increase quality of diabetes care worldwide. And what is driving me is we have to address the need of our patient. There's nothing more important than addressing the intuitive need of people living with diabetes. And for me, this means everyone should have the same availability and accessibility of diabetes care. The care may vary, the needs vary, but everyone should have the same quality of accessibility and availability of diabetes care. And as president of the International Diabetes Federation, I have 3 goals. One is to be in the diary or in the brain of every healthcare politician or health politician. I want to be in the pocket of every diabetes patient, and I want to be in the heart of every healthcare professional. How to reach the first one, the brain or the diary of every health politician? We will start a global diabetes index. Once a year, we will measure with 100,000 patients and 100,000 physicians their perception about the quality of diabetes care, very much related also to accessibility and availability. We will analyze the data. It's 121 questions, translate this into an index, and we will release the information 4 weeks ahead of World Diabetes for free to anyone who wants to use it. But immediately, this makes the quality of diabetes care comparable between a state in India and Wisconsin or Finland and Suriname. What will happen? So the stakeholder in the country might go to the Minister of Health and say, our country scores at 65, but our neighbor at 75. So let's do something to improve. Maybe he's ignoring. Next year we do it again. And then maybe the country stays at 65 and the neighbor has improved by 3%. And then people come and say, why have you not done anything already last year? So we want to build a momentum for the politicians to change. I want to be in the pocket of every diabetes patient. And you can imagine who is in the pocket. It's Google, it's Meta, it's Alphabet. It's working with these organizations to develop a strategy of free, accessible diabetes education for anyone in the world who has a smartphone. I know there are people not having a smartphone. I know that this is a limitation, but using a smartphone-based strategy will gain also a lot of access and a lot of distribution to a community who has no access yet to diabetes education. And this is where we want to focus on. And for those people who do not have a smartphone, we will add continuously aspects also to give access to them. So using a digital education program addressing the need of patients or people living with diabetes, and this will be one of the policy and strategic goal of the International Diabetes Federation. And thirdly, being in the heart of every healthcare professional, we will develop a fellowship program of the International Diabetes Federation. And we actually start it today in India at the RSSDI meeting, and today at the webinar we just have. And this will mean building a global community of healthcare professionals who are passionate about improving the quality of diabetes care. So we think, or we start today the IDF fellowship program. There will be also a senior fellowship. This is for people who have about 15 years experience in diabetes care. The fellowship program is for anyone who is interested in diabetes care. And they will have access to everything from the IDF School of Diabetes for free. So the goal is that healthcare professionals who are interested in diabetes in Congo, for example, who do not have the money to participate in the large congresses or to travel, we will deliver targeted, evidence-based, high-quality diabetes education on the computer at their desk. So if you are a healthcare professional listening to this, the IDF fellowship program starts today. And if you are interested, I would love to invite you to, or I'm inviting you to become fellow of the International Diabetes Federation, the global community of actors in diabetes care. The goal is to leverage know-how and skills to translate it into better diabetes care, being the catalyst for high quality of diabetes care. There will be the senior fellowship program and the fellowship program, and the fellowship program opens in this moment today. So if you have your smartphone, use a chance to scan this QR code. There will, in the next slide, another one as well. This QR code will direct you to the fellowship program. And this is my QR code. This is my WhatsApp channel, and I'm inviting you. This is something I really do with my hands, and I want to give a bit of want to witness or will show you the activities of the International Diabetes Federation on day-by-day basis, what I'm doing, what IDF is doing, but it's me doing it. There will be nothing commercial on this channel, and I'm inviting you, if you are healthcare professionals, if you are a patient, if you are a member of a diabetes team, or you are a politician, join this community and use this to get engaged with the president of the International Diabetes Federation, because you can comment, you can give feedback, you can say, Peter, oh no, I don't like this. Maybe you should change this, or I have an idea I would like to share with the community. You are very, very welcome and warmly invited to participate. Finally, also other channels on the social media where I'm inviting you to participate. Use the WhatsApp channel, then you are connected to all the other ones as well. There are a lot of faces of people living with diabetes. Let's act together. Let's not only talk about this, let's walk together on behalf of the quality of care for people living with diabetes. And with this activity, we should put a smile on the faces of these people living with diabetes. Again, the QR code, and let's work together. as a global community, let's work together and being passionate about improving the quality of diabetes care, but finally help our patient or those with prediabetes to walk away from diabetes. Thank you very much for your attention.